Hi everyone, welcome to the Read Aloud Party. My name is Stephanie Willis. I am a preschool through 5th grade literacy and media specialist in New Jersey. I also run an Instagram account where I review picture books. So I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about some new or coming soon releases in children's literature, specifically children's picture books. And we'll be having a special guest joining us. Today we have Becca from Becca's Book Box joining us. I like to think of Becca as the Nonfiction Queen. So I'm super excited to have her here to share some of her favorite nonfiction books, her favorite nonfiction authors, as well as some new and coming soon books in the world of children's nonfiction literature. Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
I am Becca, and I used to be a second grade teacher, and then I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to go back and get my PhD in literacy. And not all of my research, but my dissertation research was all about nonfiction picture books in the K1, 2, 3 classroom, how teachers use them and how they teach vocabulary. And it was an amazing multiple case study of those classrooms and how they use nonfiction. So I have a love of nonfiction, as you'll find out as we talk. So
awesome. So how did you start Becca's Book Box?
So Becca's Book Box is a tutoring company in Cincinnati. And I just decided when I was in my doctoral program that I loved working with kids. And at the time I was also teaching at the University of Cincinnati. So it was so nice to do that together. But now, I really wanted to be able to help more parents who might not necessarily need tutoring, but wanted tips in their home and things that they can do. So I started Becca's Book Box on Instagram, where I share lots of tips and books and all kinds of things. So it started about 5 years ago.
Cool. Yeah. So not only are you the nonfiction queen, but I love your posts. You have awesome posts about reading, but then you also back it up with all the research. And I think that's really important for parents because, they hear tips here and there, but in order for it to really sink in, and it definitely helps to have the research behind it. So
I feel very strongly about not pressuring kids and really instilling a love of learning. So I share a lot of information to support parents, that reading to them is the best thing that you can do, not flashcards and worksheets and things like that. So I really try to share with parents the benefits of just spending time together and reading and enjoying books, and then how to, talk to your kids about what they're reading and things like that. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite, we'll jump right into it, I guess. So what are some of your favorite nonfiction authors, and then publishing companies? I know that publishing companies all kind of have their niche. So authors and companies.
So there are just some authors that I really follow because time and time again, their books are fab. So I love Steve Jenkins and Robin Page, and you can see one behind me, Creature Features. And as I was planning for this, I realized I lent out so many of my Steve Jenkins books. So I do have some. This is one of his newer ones, which is awesome nonfiction for little people. And I think, there's such a we don't introduce nonfiction to little itty bitties, and they love it. They love to know the real things. And so I love Steve Jenkins, and what is so cool about him is he used to be a graphic designer. And then when he had kids, he was like, wow, I can make these really cool picture books. And so many of them have a math component and, the compare and contrast component. It's just, his books are fascinating. And I don't know, but I bet he has at least 50 now. So a lot of really cool topics. So he's a favorite. And then another favorite, and we'll talk about this one a little bit more later, is, and I don't want to butcher her last name, but it's Rachel Ignatovsky. And so she has this one with What's Inside a Flower, which is new, but she also has Women in Science. And I just feel like so much is put into her books. Mm-hmm. So she's another favorite. And then I also love Kathleen Cruel. And she has lots of different books, but this is a great example of what's new, the zoo. I love nonfiction books that teach kids where things come from. So things we totally just take for granted, like going to the zoo. Where are those books? When did the zoo start? Why did we start the zoo? How did it start? What did it look like, and how it's changed over time? So I love nonfiction books like that. So I could go on for days about authors that I love, but those are the ones that really stand out to me. I think those are most of my favorites for now. Some of those publishers would be Houghton Mifflin and Calkins Creek, and I like Discovery Kids and DK Publishing, and but I wouldn't say that I necessarily have a favorite publisher. I kind of dance around and keep an eye on my favorite authors. So
yeah, I think most people focus on the authors. But what I've found recently, I've been very active in reaching out to publishers for review copies for books. And they all have their own little niche. And, I feel like there's a ton of publishers that I'll definitely go back to again and again because they have a type of book that I like. So
yeah, some of the recent ones that came out that I really like come from Boyd's Mills, which I guess is affiliated with Calkins Creek. And I'll share one of those that just came out soon. So
cool.
Yeah.
So what's your criteria for choosing a nonfiction book? I know you mentioned that you like books that talk about how things were started. But what, like when you're at a bookstore or perusing the internet, like what is a must have for you?
So of course, illustration or pictures make a huge difference. And I think the reason that I got so obsessed, and I'll use the word obsessed, with nonfiction is they really teach kids concepts that are otherwise hard to teach. They give that vision, when you're teaching a child about photosynthesis, say, it's really hard to describe the science that goes into that. And so I think nonfiction picture books really they make an abstract concept for kids much more concrete. So I want them to teach something. I also like to learn something myself. I shared about these 2 tree books today for Earth Day, and literally mind-blowing. I learned so much about different famous trees all over the world, different types of trees. So science, history, culture, really cool. I love books like that. But I also look for the text features and the text structure. So the features would be, glossary, how Steve Jenkins has phenomenal animal glossaries in his books, index, ways to teach those kinds of skills to kids. So I look at those text features, captions, things like that. And then text structure, which I feel like we don't often teach kids. It's very different. Fiction you read front to back, it's a story. But nonfiction are all structured differently. Some are narrative, which, it's just like a story, but others have, main idea and details, or it's cause and effect, or it's compare and contrast. And I think when we teach kids those different concepts, it helps with their comprehension and understanding so much. So we kind of look for all of those things. And then my favorites end up being the ones that do all those things really well.
Yeah.
So.
And when you find an author, I think that probably helps. You get to know their style, and they like Steve Jenkins. So
yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay, so this is probably going to be very hard for you, but what are your 5 all-time favorites? Like 5 forever faves.
So I will say, this took me a very long time to think about. But I will share some that I go back to again and again. And 2 of them I don't have with me, but because I have them lent out to a couple tutors right now. But I'll share some of my all-time favorites that I go to again and again and again. So this one, Balloons Over Broadway. I know. I love the illustrations. I love Melissa Sweet. I love the story. It's the story of, it's how the Thanksgiving Day Parade originated, which I think is such a cool untold story. And I love that it's about a person, and it's very inspiring in who he is. So, and this is just a little peek inside of how cool the illustrations are. So I just, I go back to this one again and again. And this one actually got the Robert F. Seibert medal. So that's a good thing to look for if you're looking for really good nonfiction. So that is one that I go to again and again and again. Another one that I often gift, I almost feel like there's so much to it for tutoring or teaching, but it's a great gift, is Illuminature. Do you know this one?
Don't know that one, but add to the list, add to cart.
So if you look inside the pages, some of the pages look like this.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And it comes with the coolest pair of glasses.
Wow.
So when you look through the red on the glasses, it shows you the daytime life, like the daytime animals, all those things. When you look through the green, it shows you the habitat, like the foliage, everything. And then when you look through the blue, it shows you the nighttime life.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. And it's an awesome gift. And if I remember correctly, it's in the $25 range, which is perfect for a kid birthday or whatever. And the people I have gifted this to are literally, they're like, my kids spend hours with that book because it has all the different biomes in our world.
Wow.
So it is just I could look at this book and then it goes into, the daytime and nighttime animals and tells you about each. It is such a cool book.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm hearing that immediately.
There is a Loom Anatomy, which is the body.
Yeah, cool.
And I will say that the visuals aren't as clear as this one. And then there's one for geography that I have not gotten to see yet. But this one is just mind-blowing. So that one I go to all the time. This one is a fan favorite in our house, and maybe it's just because we love trains, and kids. Eliana told me about this amazing book, but I'm serious when I say my 2-year-old knows train vocabulary more than I do, mostly because he talks to my dad about it. But the inside is just amazing. And what I love about this is it comes from the Railroad Museum in the UK. And so the curators for that museum created this book. So it is, I think of when you go to an amazing museum, this is the book version. It's really, really cool. So that's a favorite. And then my other ones are newbies, which, I have one more. This one, In Focus. You know this one?
No, I don't. This is so fun.
Oh, good. This is like a little book talk. So this is In Focus, and now they have more of them because I just went to send somebody this link and they have more. So this is really cool because it'll show you the ocean. And then when you open it up, it shows you the insides of those things.
Oh, very cool.
But what is really cool is it has stuff where's this? Inside fruits and vegetables. And then, and it has famous buildings and outer space and animals. So this is one that I suggest for older kids at the breakfast table, just leaving it out because you can just, look through it and it's fascinating. So this is probably my other favorite, but we could go on for days. So those are my top ones.
Cool.
Yeah.
So first off, I'm literally going to order all of those. It's so fun because I would consider myself pretty well versed in children's literature, and those are all new to me. So that's
good ones too.
Now, I mentioned that we would chat about any new or coming soon books that also might be your favorite, but that people can kind of look out for.
So a couple new ones that just came out, and I've shared them all on my Instagram, but I'll share them here. You know this one because I shared it at
so good.
I know. It is so, so cool. And what I love about this book is it talks about DNA, which talk about an abstract concept for kids.
Okay.
But it talks about how we as humans all have so many similarities too, and like what in our genes make us unique. And I'll just show one of my favorite pages from this book, if I can find it real fast. But I do like Nicola Davies and her work. So just the beautiful illustrations. So this is Grow, and this came out very recently. Then again, I love untold stories, or less told stories. This one is Grace Banker and the Hello Girls from World War II or World War I. And what they did, I think it's just such a female power, game changer type women. And this is so well done. And this I think is Boyd's Mills, which I was talking, or Calkins Creek. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Really great story. And I love how I also love like unique illustrations, really cool kind of graphic novel-ish inside. The Leaf Detective, another.
Saw that on your page yesterday.
Yes.
So right now I'm actually teaching the Rainforest with my second and third graders. I think that I might have commented that. But what we did is we started an activism unit about many different topics.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, and then I just read, I have it right here actually, I just read Zonia's Rainforest, which it came out on Tuesday, March 30th, just a few days ago. This is beautiful. Not a nonfiction book, but I use that to like go from transition from our activism unit into a rainforest unit. So it is an activism book about the rainforest. So I'm definitely going to have to get The Leaf Detective.
Yes, because she, it tells her story and just how, she figured out how to get up into the canopies of the rainforest, and then how that really moved her to save the rainforest and care for them. And it tells her story in the back, which I love. Stories like that where you can see the actual person and learn more about them. And so this is a really good one. And then my just recent favorite, it's mind-blowing, is What's Inside a Flower. And I love how it's just such a simple concept, really. And she blew it up. I mean, she really tied in, everything in, the process and what all goes into caring for a plant. And I usually, when I share a book, take like 2 pictures of the inside. I just was like, ooh, but this page, ooh, but this page, ooh, but this page. And so I just, showing how many things we get from plants and, the animals that are involved and nature. And this is a great spring gift, really. So
yeah, that's perfect. Like little Easter baskets, which is in 2 days. It's hard to know. I feel like it's very, very popular right now, that book. It's been floating around Instagram for sure from your inspiration.
It's sold out a lot of places.
Yeah. I have yet to look on really get to look at the inside, but I did order it for my library for next year in my purchasing.
Yeah, I really think it's one that would draw kids in, or when you're introducing a unit on really plants, photosynthesis, anything. Wow, it is just how she labels everything. It's just so creatively done for kids. It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, I learned so much in the 20 minutes we've been chatting.
Great, because I feel like all the things about picture books.
And it's so great to be able to like chat with you. I know we chat often. Not everyone else knows that, but I was going to share a few nonfiction books, but I have like too tough of shoes to fill. So I have like nothing over here that could compare. I will share very quickly. This is Elephants by Stephen Bloom. This is not new. So actually none of the ones I have are new, but they're like, I'd say some of my top faves. Steve Bloom is actually a photographer, and it talks all about elephants and it humanizes them the entire time. This is one of my favorite pages about like how they're part of festivals. And these are all his photographs. And at the end, he talks about how many elephants are being killed every day for the ivory trade, and that we need to do something to help are elephants. I use this as part of my activism unit, and my kids were like floored.
Yeah. Now that I'm looking at his name, I think I must have one of his books upstairs, and it might even be that one.
It's so good. I was introduced to this in my master's program. We talked about it. So it's definitely not new, but it's a good one.
And I think it is important for kids to see those real images. I think that, a lot of the ones I shared have more illustration, but I think it's really important to have the photographs too.
It's only photographs, and it's what's so cool. It's just one person's photographs the entire time. So, he obviously had an extensive trips. This, I'm sure. Honeybee, I love this book. This won the Cybert Award last year, right? In 2019.
I think so.
2020. I don't even know what year it is. But I just love, it talks about the life cycle of a honeybee, and but also about, I talk about it with my students about how they are such a strong community, and everyone that's in their hive has a special job, and it's all for like the purpose of like the greater good for the honeybees and the queen and supporting her. So I love this one. You've definitely probably seen this one, Lifesize by Sophie Hen.
Yes.
So I got this past summer, and it's hard, teaching virtually for kids to really get to see this book. But what's funny, I'm trying to find the page, is everything, in the book is life size. Steve Jenkins has, what's his called?
He has actual size, and then I can see it. I forgot I had it down here for my son, life-size animals, which is amazing too.
Yeah, so I had done life size with my students last year, and they were second graders at the time. So then this year I shared this one, and they were like, oh my gosh. And we kind of did like a side-by-side of how two author illustrators, can take a different spin on the same book. But this was my kid's favorite part, that I get to become a
exactly. But it's so amazing for them to see the actual size,
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. What museum? I went to a museum in Boston, and I saw, I think it was a giraffe. It's a Natural History Museum, Boston, for the first time. And I was like, oh my God. I was 20 something and just floored that it's hard to really relate to that as kids. So
the squid eyeball, they're so big.
I know. And the last one I have is The Street Beneath My Feet, which is really cool. It has a lot of it actually ends up coming all the way out. Woo! But
I don't have that one.
I want it. But what's really cool is it just basically goes through, what's below you, completely all the way to the core, first core center.
Wow.
So it's cool. Really neat. It's another one of those that you could just totally get lost in.
Yeah, there's one I have called Under Ohio, because I live in Ohio.
Yeah.
And it's how the land here has changed over the last, billion years. And it's so mind-blowing for kids, because it's just really, really neat. They can't wrap their heads around it, really.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining me and being my first guest on this.
Yay, thanks for having me.
I can't wait to share this with everybody. They're gonna get so many awesome recommendations. It's like a blessing and a curse, right? You get all these great books, and then you just have to buy them all.
You put them in your wish list card, and then
that's a good idea.
But definitely Illuminature is my go-to gift for kids.
Yeah, that was amazing. I'm definitely, that's probably definitely being bought today.
You will love it. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had fun learning about some new releases or coming soon books in the world of children's literature. Any of the links that we talked about will be below in the description. I would love for you just to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a thing. We'll see you next time.